As more Australians embrace active lifestyles, the demand for non-alcoholic and functional beverages is soaring. One company is tapping into that momentum with a unique brew that blends refreshment with recovery. Joining me now is Barry Thomas from Australian Sports Brewing Co. Good to see you, my friend. Let's talk about this wave of non-alcoholic preference, I suppose, that people are going through at the moment. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so look, it's a wave, and we've talked about it as being the rise, but I think it's risen.
I'd say so.
It's here, and it's very well established now. Consumers are looking for more options. You know, they're not just looking for, give me one option and I'll be happy, which is probably where it was not that long ago. They're now looking for more options, more things that'll be available for them, and that's a really good sign that that market's already starting to mature and becoming more acceptable.
I remember just after COVID, the non-alcoholic market just kind of boomed, you know, blossomed, if you will, based on people trying to get healthier and lose some of those COVID kilos. But what makes sports beer, which is what you're bringing to the table today, different from other non-alcoholic beverages? Tell us more.
Yeah, so if we think about beer itself, beer is actually a healthy product.
Love it.
It's all natural. It's full of things like polyphenols, for example, which are anti-inflammatory. And what we've done is we've taken that and we've added magnesium, potassium and calcium to the mix.
Okay.
And so we actually brew with what we would call electrolytes.
Right.
And so athletes, be they elite athletes or be they the weekend warriors like myself, are able to actually take the benefits of beer, get back to training more frequently as a result, but also able to celebrate their wins and celebrate their successes absolutely guilt-free.
Absolutely awesome stuff. So it's sort of like taking a sports drink, taking your favourite lager and sort of bringing the two together in harmony and, understanding. But how is sports beer connecting with the endurance sports community? I thought that was really interesting. Are people doing marathons chugging a beer?
Well, to a degree, yes. Certainly, what we're finding is that if someone decides they sign up for a marathon, let's say they've signed up for Melbourne Marathon.
Made that mistake once before. Wasn't a mistake, I enjoyed it.
Many of us have and had the delight of what it is when you finish. And often they'll sign up for a 16-week program to get themselves ready, to get themselves fit and right to go. And they have to make sacrifices. One of those often is beer. And so they have to give up their beer for that period of time. They can now have a beer which is actually encouraging them to run the event, but also it's actually giving them those functional benefits that you get from the electrolytes, the magnesium and the calcium that's in there.
It's very clever. It's a bit of a science experiment, really, and a social one at that too. But what's next for the brand in terms of product range? Let's talk a little bit about where people can go and what other partnerships you've got going on as well. Yeah,
so look, we launched our first brand about 4.5 years ago now. So it was around that sort of end of COVID period that you mentioned before, and that's Zero Plus, which was a pale ale and is out in the market and readily available through some major retailers like Dan Murphy's here in Australia. And what we've done very recently is launched a brand called Adventure.
Okay.
And what we're finding is consumers were looking for another choice. And so the Adventure sports beers have an XPA, it has a Pacific Ale, and it has a lager. So we've now got a whole range, and consumers are loving the choice that they now get. As a result of that. We'll be bringing out more brands that can kind of link with that over a period of time, and we'll switch them around and change them and link to what is, I guess, kind of an athletic lifestyle, but it's also an adventurous lifestyle, and it's people that just want to get out and live life, and that's where we link in. So yes, we started at endurance. However, it's accessible for everybody.
Oh, I see hikers out there taking a six-pack up on the hill, you know, and crushing at the top. Now they can do it without being dehydrated on the way back down.
Correct, yeah.
If people do want to get their hands on the product, give it a go, who would you recommend this for? If there's people out there on the fence for trying non-alcoholic beverages, what would you sort of say to them?
Yeah, look, I mean, the first thing I would suggest is that you have a look at our website, which I think we have the best website name going, and it's sportsbeer.com.au.
It's not bad.
And the other option for them are places like Dan Murphy's, who do stock one of our brands, which is the original one, Zero Plus. But yeah, sportsbeer.com.au, it has our stockists, but they can also read a lot more about us in there and learn about the functional benefits. They can see some information from a nutritionist in there to get to understand that it's not a gimmick. It's the science is behind.
Well, that was my next question, is actually you've got this nutritionist who's assisting and there is science behind it and it's backed in that way. That obviously an important part for you and the team?
Absolutely. And it's also, it's one to have the theory behind it.
True.
It's also having the proof. So we have the 50k running Australian record holder drinks it pretty much every day.
Yeah.
We have some of the top triathletes drinking it every day. I myself ran 100 miles in September last year. I had 1 can before the event, and I had 3 during the event, and then I had more than that afterwards. So it's at my age, let me tell you, that's not a bad feat.
That does.
So the proof is in the pudding. It's there. Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Nicely done. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the program, bringing this to our attention, and of course celebrating both sports and of course beer. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Cheers.